He had mentioned the upcoming trip to California and that he was looking forward to doing some cliff diving. Every day since Matt's passing, I've thought about him and the life he led. And as I look back, a narrative about him began to emerge, and one that I kind of feel speaks to the core of his being, and simple really, and maybe others noticed it, but throughout his whole life, Matt took advantage of every opportunity that he was given. Every challenge, every chance, he took it head on. He was motivated, he was determined, he was driven. He wanted to participate, he wanted to be involved. And I don't know if Matt had much musical talent, but he wanted to be in the band, so he decided to learn to play the tuba. What better thing to do or be than a band nerd, but I can think of a few. But Matt had a real love for learning, a love for school, a great respect for all of his teachers and professors, and I believe that their willingness to share their knowledge with him, to be able to take classes, was a real blessing from God. And while he was gifted, he was never idle, always studying. I think he had a fear maybe of being unprepared for an upcoming test or assignment. Years at UW-Madison, Marquette, Berkeley, he loved all of them, and I don't ever remember him complaining about them. He loved sports and was an accomplished athlete. He loved football. Matt never hesitated. He hit, and he hit hard, and he was absolutely fearless. Our sophomore year, and I don't know if Matt ever talked about this, but during football practice one day, he was absolutely beating up a tackling dummy in a drill. And his tenacity, his ferocity so impressed Coach Ashworth that he said, "I'm going to make that boy a starter." And Matt, maybe 160 pounds, not that strong, not all that fast, became a starting middle linebacker on the varsity team. And it was a very talented Tosa West football team. And he would letter that year, junior year and senior year. But I think we all know that diving was Matt's passion, talented and again, fearless, which you really need to be a diver. And I don't know how many times he took first place in a meet or invitational, but it was a lot. And we all know that senior year he reached the apex and was the state diving champion. I also know that Matt loved tennis, but in spring he was on the track team. Because you could play tennis whenever you wanted to at your leisure, but how often do you get a chance to do pole vaulting? And through all of it, all these years, Matt was never one to brag, to boast. It was never about the awards, the accolades. You would never hear him say, "Oh, look what I did, look what I accomplished." No, I think he was the personification of humility, being able to experience life, to enjoy God's blessing. That was the real reward. Matt was preceded in death by several of our close friends, and one of them was Jim DeValcanier, and I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about Matt's sense of humor. And Matt and Jim are a comedic duo like no other. As boys, even as men, we all have an affinity, an appreciation for the ridiculous, the immature, and sometimes the downright stupid. We find it very entertaining. And that bravery, that fearlessness, that impulsiveness, they both had it. They were creative geniuses. We were both left amazed as much as we were entertained. And many of you here know the stories, but I don't think you know all the stories. And 30-some years later, I could still laugh myself to tears to tell them that I could be here for hours. In the years after college, our lives took different directions. We lived in different states, and we didn't get to talk as often as we'd liked. He was always very busy. Birthdays, holidays, we tried to communicate. Matt would travel a lot. And if he was in town or close by, he would try to make it to get together for lunch or dinner. When I lived in Chicago, he would fly in. He had business or something to go, and I would try to pick him up and drive him wherever I needed to be, just so we could see each other. We would talk and catch up. How was life? How's work? What are you doing? What books are you reading? He loved to read. But then naturally we'd reminisce about those crazy adventures, and one of us look at each other and say, "Oh, do you remember?" And Matt would laugh, I think we all know that laugh. And I can't help but think for Matt, you know, his hijinks, his escapades, his craziness, I think that's what he was most proud of in a way. And I think, Matt, you were an enigma of sorts, a great friend, and definitely a hero to all of us throughout your whole life. And we'll never forget your kindness and what kind of friend you were to all of us. And I just hope you know how much we all loved you and how much we'll miss you. Thank you.
I am very glad to be here to speak about a man we all know. A man who came from a small town and who left his profession to spread the gospel. A man who helped many people with their problems, though perhaps what exactly he was doing was shrouded in mystery to those back at home. A man who gave his life for his friends, and though in the depths of the earth for a few days, was brought back to us and is now with us forever. This man is Jesus Christ. Matt Schoenecker encountered this man deeply and personally during a service project in Mexico, and it changed everything. In that encounter with the person of Jesus, Matt found a pearl of great price. Something that was so beautiful that he was willing to leave everything to possess it. And upon possessing it, he poured all of his energy, his whole soul, in conforming his life to this new reality. He didn't keep this new joy to himself, but wanted to share it with everyone. With every encounter with Christ, one finds meaning, but also mission. Matt discovered his mission through Opus Dei, and from that moment on, gave himself entirely to God and his service. Matt's mission took him to many places, though his longest stay was in Los Angeles. There he gave himself generously to so many young men, including myself, my brothers, and many of my closest friends, some of whom are here today, and several of whom are now married and with children. All of us will tell you how Matt guided and prepared us in our biggest life decisions. In this, Matt was more than a mentor. To us, he was a father. Matt had a way of pushing us to do the good, sometimes even more than we wanted to do it ourselves, but always with a smile and with the inspiration that came from within. And while Matt's mission might have radically changed his life, he was always the same Matt. In the recent weeks, I've heard amazing stories of his early days from some of you. His past was mysterious to us in LA, as perhaps his time in LA was to those of you in Milwaukee. But in hearing your stories, I was struck that they captured the same Matt that I knew. How in giving his life to God, Matt kept all of his good humor, his mischievous sense of fun, his adventurous love for the outdoors, and his concern for everyone he met. One story I would like to share was once I had to go to Bakersfield for a work assignment on New Year's Eve at midnight. Those in LA know that Bakersfield is in the middle of nowhere, California, several hours away. Before I headed out, Matt came and told me that he was going to drive me there and back. I protested, but he insisted and prevailed. He could be stubborn. We listened to music, audiobooks, and just talked and laughed the whole way. When I finished my assignment, we were driving back. I could not stay awake 1 hour and accompany Matt while he was making the sacrifice for me, and I soon fell asleep. He didn't hold it against me, but he carried on and brought me back home early on New Year's Day. Matt's effort to be like Jesus Christ, the man he encountered in Mexico, was so intense, so consistent, that his life began to mirror the life of Jesus Christ. The parallels I mentioned at the beginning of this eulogy are almost uncanny. In a way, Matt became another Christ. Some fear the idea of living like Christ because they think it means losing their life and identity. But Matt showed me that the more we have Christ as our model, the more we will truly live and become fully ourselves. God's presence in Matt's life fulfilled the deepest longings of his heart. I know that Matt is closer now to us than ever, and I know that what he wants for us is the same as what he always wanted for us. That we all join him and the man he met in Mexico for eternal life. I pray for Matt, but I pray also to Matt and ask him to give each of us the gift that he received, a joyful encounter with Jesus Christ. The power and potential of that kind of an encounter is witnessed by a generation of boys and men in Los Angeles who are grateful for the life of Matt Schoenecker.
Hi, ladies and gentlemen. I'm David Schoenecker. I'm Matt's brother, and I have something that I wrote that I want to read to you about. It says, "My best friend is my brother Matt. When he was a baby, I fed him, and he looked up to me. As he grew up, he was funny, smart, helpful, loyal, and playful. He was also very prayerful. His best sports were football and diving. When we were young boys, I liked how Matt and his friends and I would play with one another. We all liked playing with new toys such as Legos, action figures, and cars. I'm very happy that my brother took me along to play sports at Mike's place and Turkey Bowl football every Thanksgiving. Matt's a great brother and my best friend. Now that he lives in LA, I enjoy talking with him on the phone and can't wait to see him again. Thank you."